Good evening, everybody. It's the overnight mouse party. I have to remember what the name of the chat is. Uh, I'm Dia Foss. Tonight we have Guns and Barbecue. How's it going, Barbecue?
It's going all right. Thank you for the invite.
And Gun Websites. G-Webs, how you doing?
Fair to Midland. Thanks for hosting.
And Gizzard Gary, how you doing?
Doing all right. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you being here. And there was no poll this week because I forgot to post the poll. So just imagine your own question and answer it to yourself. Let me get the banner going. I remembered the banner this week. At the bottom of the screen is an email address on tacticalfoss@gmail.com and a link for the Discord server. Place to hang out, chit chat, share memes and pictures and whatever. And so far out there was G23 was first. Gun Websites, Mr. Bob Dabalina, Vulcan Rumble, and Mr. Bob asks, too busy setting up the bracket? No, there won't be a bracket this week.
What?
Yeah, I sent the bracket off to it went to camp, so it's at bracket camp, learning how to bracket better.
Oh, I thought it's still left in the other office.
Just one of them overnight bracket camps?
Yeah. So
Boy and girl bracket camps?
yeah, it is. So
I don't believe in other kind of camps.
It'll probably get into some, youthful hijinks.
Yeah, if you want your bracket to drink, just give it a beer. I mean, just as easy.
But we've got a new sticker. Let me make myself bigger. And now you know, and you can't quite see it, but in the streak from the star, as you move it around to the shiny, it says you're a jerk. And now you know you're a jerk.
Oh,
it's awesome.
And I've just ordered today another sticker that I was working on. So we'll see how that one looks when I get it in a couple weeks. Then I'll show it off. And the guess how many pieces of brass? We did have a winner, Chris Lang. There's 400 in here, believe it or not.
I thought the fix was in. I thought you were going to give me the number.
No, Chris Lang. So Chris, email me on tacticalfoss@gmail.com. And I've got the prize pack all packaged up, ready to go. I just need somewhere to send it. So
that son of a gun.
I did the math. I counted the one layer and then did the math to know exactly how many were in there. I feel like
he prices righted me.
Oh, for all I knew, there was a baseball in the middle of all those. I didn't know it was cool.
Nope, I didn't do that.
$3.99, and he went 400.
No fillers. I was surprised because I had cleaned the brass and then put it in here, and then I thought, oh well, I should have. Well, I had thought about that after I did the 9, but I didn't. There's a lot more 9, and I didn't want to count it. So I did.
Nobody wants to count 9.
I did 10 millimeter, and I counted it twice just to make sure. And there's exactly 400 in here. So congratulations, Chris. Once again, email me your address. Send it to untacticalfoss@gmail.com.
Does the winner have to be present? Because I don't see him out there.
No.
Ah.
They just have to email me their address so I can send it to somebody.
Yeah, Boss doesn't do shady giveaways like that.
Oh, listen to you.
Oh, and I was supposed to be able to pick up my new gun today because my 10-day waiting period should have been up, but there was a data breach that happened.
Did they actually say it's a data breach now? Because last I heard, Washington just wasn't saying why your guys' system's been down for 2 weeks now.
Well, they said at first they said it was ransomware, and then they said it was suspicious activity. So they announced it on the 4th, and then they just shut down the background check system. Well, because it affected a few of the systems, but they shut down the background check system. So no background checks. That includes guns, employment. It affected the court system, but they shut it down on the 4th and said that any background request back to the 1st, they're going to hold, and haven't really said what's going on or when they're going to get it fixed, turn everything back on. I've heard rumblings that they're getting close to turning it back on, but I don't know. And the Second Amendment Foundation sent a strongly worded letter saying, you better turn it back on or we'll sue you.
I bet you that's got them quaking in their boots.
Yeah. The State Patrol, that's who the background checks all run through, the State Patrol. Their statement was basically, well, sorry. It is what it is.
Well, owning guns is a privilege, and if you can't wait a little while for the right, then what's the big deal? A big deal.
So hopefully sometime soon I'll be able to pick up my gun.
Well, I think, if anything, Second Amendment Foundation is missing a huge opportunity here, because all Washington really needs to do is say, well, we weren't targeting Second Amendment. Like, the whole system was down. It affected all these other things. Like, we're sorry that your rights were affected in this time, but that was just a unfortunate thing that happened. What Second Amendment Foundation should be doing is going, look, background checks are unconstitutional because at any time this could happen and people are deprived of their rights for who knows how long until these things are rectified.
Yeah, the one thing, the only reason I would say it's not specifically targeting the gun sales is because it affects any background check, like I said, for employment, so they can't hire anybody. But I mean, yeah, that was kind of my first thought, was may not have been engineered, but was an opportunity to delay things. So I'm not sure. And let me show this real quick before I forget. G23 sent in a picture of a rifle. I don't know, pretty nice looking skuz, except for I don't know about that muzzle brake on it. But
oh wow, the fabled Glock carbine.
What do you got against that muzzle brake?
it's ugly.
It lets you shoot a grenade off of there.
I know, but it's still ugly.
I don't like this.
ULGY ugly.
He does not have the sharp, pointy, stabby thing flipped out.
That one's a little different too. I wonder if I can embiggen this here. There we go.
Enhance.
It's more of a knife shape instead of the stabby stick type.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, but overall, I don't know. It looks in decent shape. Vulcan Rumble said, I don't mean to be rude, guys, but as a computer engineer, I must inform you that this can be considered a direct criminal act and cyber attack, and this would actually be considered a government attack.
You mean
Yeah,
like people attacking the government or the government attacking the people?
Somebody's attacking the government.
Yeah.
Which that's not lost on me, which is another reason why I said Second Amendment Foundation going, we're going to sue you because you're violating, Second Amendment. Like, yeah, but they're really not looking at the long game of this, where they should be going, hey, background checks are unconstitutional, and here's how they are affecting people's rights, and they should be abolished. And be running this all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Right. You mean like the Second Amendment Foundation should be going, hey, these things are not needed, and here's a reason why when they're broken, they're heinous.
Yep. Instead of just saying, we're going to sue you.
Yep.
Well, my first thought when they announced that they were threatening to sue was they should have just already sued.
Well, but then they can't fundraise for it.
Yeah. And because Washington uses their own background system, they don't use the NICS system. The FBI told the state, we will no longer do your background checks through the NICS systems. We were doing it as a courtesy.
Which is even better of an argument for Second Amendment Foundation if they made that lawsuit to then sue Washington and say, you guys need to get rid of the background check system, and, well, really not sue Washington. I guess it would be suing the Department of Justice, because Washington's background check system went down, and then they could then say, when Washington's background check system went down, the federal NICS system said, yep, nope, we're not fucking doing them.
No, that makes no sense. So NICS happens, period, by law, 1988, I think. So NICS can't say, oh, we're not going to do yours. Like, NICS doesn't have that ability. They don't have a on and off switch to decide which state they're going to do NICS for. So it doesn't make any sense. Usually when a state does extra stuff, like your background check, somewhere in that background check, they're going to run a NICS check, but then they don't think that's enough, so they're going to do some kind of state check also.
It's on the state website, verbatim.
What?
That the FBI said they were doing it as a courtesy and will no longer do them. The state has it on their website.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, what do you think? Like, just because the state says we don't pay attention.
I'm just saying that's what the state's going by. That's their statement.
Huh. Problem is, you got Second Amendment Foundation in Washington, so no other country, no other organization wants to touch Washington. So you're all raw until Second Amendment Foundation feels like doing something about it.
Yeah, I have not seen anybody else, any other organization make a statement.
No, nobody will touch it, just like nobody will touch Colorado, and nobody really touches Virginia because of NRA. Like, people leave the states alone that have an organization set in there. And you're a victim of that.
Yeah.
But somebody, there should. It seems like it's ripe for poking at that because, like barbecue saying, like not being able to get a job falling through. That's one thing, but that's not your right. But since this is a right, they're just casually like, oh no, big deal. Something happened over here and it messes with your rights. Big deal. Go deal with it. You're allowed to go. No, I'm not going to deal with it. You
Yeah,
deal
and
with it
there's
by
no
removing the obligation to do your stupid background check.
there's no system in place to work around the problem. Um, it's so the state patrol can't do anything. They are forced to wait for what they call the SAFE system. I forget what the acronym stands for, but so they're in charge of doing the background checks, but they have to wait for the system to come back up before they can do a background check. They have no other recourse to do background checks.
Yeah.
So it kind of leads into first question for tonight. Will Trump be good for the 2A and gun rights? And aside from, well, he'll do better than the Democrats. Just looking at Trump himself, will he be good for gun rights? Will anything change? Will everything stay the same? Keeping in mind during his first term, he's the reason the bump stocks got banned, and he had said, "Take the guns, due process later." I think he has learned from his first time, but do you think that things will actually change under Trump? There's a lot of people thinking that he's the second coming. Is there going to be a change? Will things stay pretty much the same? Will it get better? What do you guys think?
So as far as gun rights go, I think from what we're dealing with now, things are only going to get better. One, because of the court cases that we have won already. They have set a good foundation to build upon. Then looking back at his first presidency, if you listen to a couple of the interviews that he's done now, he admits he didn't know what the hell he was doing. He was listening to a lot of people. Having 4 years experience now, he feels much more comfortable. Having that 4 years experience, he knows what he's doing when he's going in. He doesn't need to have all these people to listen to, which I think that might have been part of the issue, is some of the wrong people had his ear and they said, yeah, listen to this group or that group and listen to this suggestion. And one of those suggestions was, yeah, just go with the bump stock ban. He's like, yep, that sounds great. We'll do that. Obviously, in the lead up to his candidacy in that first run, he clearly said, take the guns, due process later. Still can't wrap my head around that one. The Speaker of the House, or excuse me, not Speaker of the House, but Senate Majority Leader. We'll see how that goes. We've got Trump saying, give me a national reciprocity bill, I'll sign it. We've got a Republican Congress and Senate. Theoretically, we should be able to get a bill through the House for national reciprocity. And then the Senate, we'd only have to turn, 7 Democrats. So who knows what could happen there? It'll be interesting to see. I can't see it being worse than his first presidency. I'm optimistic.
Gary, G Webs, what do you guys think?
Well, he pretty much said everything I was gonna say.
Sorry, Gary, I didn't mean to use all the words.
Used all the words. Didn't even leave me one, except agreed.
I think that he doesn't give a shit and that he's got other things on his plate with the economy and international stuff. So I don't think this is his priority. It seems like what Barbecue said, he was aware of the mistakes he made. But that doesn't mean that the antis aren't going to come up with some, I don't want to say chess move, but just throw enough crap out, something's going to seep through kind of thing. And they have their limited list of things from their playbook that they usually throw out there, but every once in a while they come up with something new. So there's a potential that he'll screw up because he's not paying attention to what we consider important. But I think in general, if people leave him alone, then we got the potential for it to go our way. But I don't know. I wish I could be more optimistic that we have people that are ambitious to really remove the ATF or NFA in a meaningful way that isn't just taken as and allowed to be taken as a political move instead of a move to make the culture more adult, to realize that we do have dangerous things and we aren't going to be taken advantage of, exploited by the unawareness that guns aren't the most dangerous thing we deal with. They create this unrealistic thing around guns or something where guns are the most dangerous thing ever, while we text and drive and while we take all kinds of pills with drinking. There's people are doing all kinds of crazy chemicals inside their body by what they eat and what they drink and what they take as prescriptions. So all kinds of crazy stuff that's dangerous. We're just the line guns are more dangerous and are a vice and are reckless and unnecessary. So I think that we got the potential. Still, what's the word? Roble there.
Is G Web a robot? Is there anybody else?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was just going to ask, is it him or me?
I think you get what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah. With the Republicans holding the House and the Senate, I don't know, because last time they had all three, basically nothing got done. They did not have the will to do anything. So I'm hopeful, but Garage Guy's out there. Garage Guy, did you get your package? Did you get your stuff? He won the last giveaway. Hopefully he got it. Mr. Bob said the big thing Trump will do for 2A is not appoint judicial activists to federal judge positions. We need more judicial conservative judges.
That's something he did.
Yeah.
In his last presidency. That's one reason the Ninth Circuit saw some better decisions that it did, as well as some other circuits.
Ozzy Osbourne's out there.
There's one thing that I am mildly worried about. When I say mildly, like lukewarm. It's not like I lose sleep over it, but leading up to the election, we watched 2 assassination attempts. Do you guys think that's something that we're going to have to worry about for the next 4 years? And then if that's the case, if that happens where somebody, God forbid, is successful, do Democrats and rhinos use that to ram through gun control? And that's the part that scares the shit out of me.
Well, I think
wouldn't be concerned. They were when he was a nominee, he was getting the bottom of the barrel. Now he's the president of the United States, and it's his Justice Department. So nobody's deciding like, oh, give him the short lady to be his entourage. So this isn't non-state actors. This isn't state actors. This is people that are encouraged by the media to be infamous and are looking for fame, not looking for any whatever. So, nah, I think that they, well, I don't know, but I don't think that you have anything to worry about with that. That was amateurs being called out because they got further than anyone could have ever expected based on lackluster performance of the officers, or whatever you call
Like
it.
I
the
said,
agents.
I think his
lose sleep over
security
it or
detail,
anything.
his security will be a lot better now.
Yes.
Be real now.
Like I said, I don't lose sleep over it or anything, but God forbid it did happen. Do we see Democrats and rhinos going, all right, this is the time to ram through a bunch of gun reform and blah, 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 and set us back another 100 years?
No,
I
we
don't
just
think
had
the
60%
rhinos
of the
would.
country say I'd rather have this Republican everybody hates than anything you want to put out there. So I don't see any popular, what's the word, like support for that happening.
Garage Guy said no. As far as protection, Trump should have his people in place. And Colostomy Bag said, please help. I took the 10 millimeter pill and now I'm carrying my GP 100 and 357. My FUD regressionism is in full swing. I don't think you need help. If you're not going to carry the 10, the 357 is a very acceptable alternative.
I'm confused. What does he mean he took the 10 millimeter pill?
It's a little confusing.
Yeah, I thought that would have meant that he's now carrying a 10.
Well, it's the and now part that makes it a little confusing. But those are both two good words, 10 millimeter and 357.
Mm-hmm. Either way.
Jason Ghost is out there. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm scrolling the X as we're chatting here, and I see a thing that says, just a reminder, more people were killed by vaccines than by guns. Where's the public outcry? Is that a stand to take, or does that poke something that is unpoke, that is not to be poked?
I don't think
that
that'll
a
get
pun?
any traction. I think the only people who didn't like the vaccine will. What? No, that's not what I mean to say. I don't think that's a tack that will change any minds. I do not disagree with it, but I don't think that'll get any leverage.
I don't think so either. 'Cause as soon as I think vaccines are just so hot topic as it is, because you say the word vaccine and either you're for vaccines or you're anti-vaxxer. And it's not just COVID vaccine; it's polio vaccine or smallpox vaccine, any vaccine. And you can sit there and try and say, "Oh no, I'm just talking about the COVID vaccine," but you kind of get lumped in and all that. And the people that you'd be arguing with, it would just fall on deaf ears at that point. Likewise, it would be like arguing with a flat earther. You could try and make the point, but at the end of the day, I think it would be futile.
Garage guy said he had the vaccines, no problem, no big deal. But as I think Mr. Bob had said about the federal judges, I think that's one of the really good things he did. Trump did in his first term was all the federal appointments, federal judge appointments. I kind of the two things that stand out is one, the appointments, and then two, he didn't get us into any new wars.
Yes, I think that's the biggest one that always stood out to me. Well, that, and number two to me was the tariffs. I was a big supporter of the tariffs.
I thought they did good because they put a lot of pressure on China, and you saw China's attitude change, but that was kind of nearing the end of his presidency. And then
Yes.
as soon as Biden came in, they said, oh, okay, well, forget all that.
Yep.
Back to what we were doing. Because China, if the U.S. completely cut off trade with China, it would kill China's economy.
Oh, yeah.
We are the biggest driving force in China's economy. All the cheap goods we can get from them. I mean, it will drive up prices of things we buy. But it's I don't want to call it a balancing act, but we're basically funding our enemy.
Well, there's that, but there's a lot of things that we buy from China that we could manufacture here as well. And people don't realize that, or don't want to think about that. Then they sit here, there's no jobs, or, I can't find a job that pays enough, or whatever the frick. And it's like, you want to ship jobs overseas. It's like, especially when you look back at COVID and people are like, oh, we can't get anything. Well, it's because we don't make anything here. Like, we've got to make stuff here to be able to get stuff when supply chains globally break down.
Yeah, but even so many of our raw materials come from overseas now.
Yeah. Like, I mean, back when I drove a truck, I was hauling steel and aluminum from France. I would go down to the ports down in Camden, New Jersey, just to get giant coils of steel and aluminum that they were importing from France. I'm like, are you serious? Like, my home terminal was 40 minutes north of Pittsburgh, not even. Like, disgusting.
Well, it's like this was at least 20 years ago, not a little more. There was a story about, I think it was New York, buying the manhole covers from China. That
I've
is
heard-
something that, you know, they could buy in the U.S. It'd probably
Mhm.
be better manhole covers, a little more expensive, but better quality.
And that's the thing. Like, when, like, just like the tariffs, like, fine, you know, there are some things that I might still go buy the cheap Chinese product. And if there's a 60% tariff on it, I'm going to be paying a lot more for it now. But if I'm willing to pay that, then so be it. But if there's a product that is made in the U.S. that can be had also, then why wouldn't I try and buy that American-made product? And the thing is, how can American jobs compete with slave labor? And that's the big thing. And that's what I would argue with people back in the last Trump presidency. I'm like, you know, you're worried about, you know, a t-shirt or something costing you an extra, you know, dollar or something like that because, you know, a Trump tariff, while the t-shirt that has a little American flag on the tag inside the collar might cost an extra dollar or so on the rack next to it. I was like, but that shirt was made in the US. I was like, that's your neighbor, that's, you know, somebody here that did that. I was like, you could be supporting them. I was like, but you want to save a dollar. I was like, so you buy the cheap Chinese one, and now I was like, you're mad that you have to pay that extra dollar. I was like, but you still buy the cheap Chinese one and complain about that dollar. I was like, meanwhile, this person's working in a sweatshop, not being paid fair wages, not getting any benefits, anything like that. You know, like, what are you doing? Where's your ethics, morals, etc.? And I realize, like, not everything can be made here, but
Vanessa Kitty's out there.
Nothing was ever made here, and nothing will ever be made. I mean, only here, and nothing will ever be only made here. We don't have countries that are that big that have everything they need. Plus, it would be
exactly
like being weird. That would be like, you know, being some house on the block that doesn't need anything from the community, so they just put a giant wall around their place. Like, nobody's looking to do that. I think that the fear of got the fear of tariffs. The people who were voting against that guy, the guys that were like, we're the other option, like vote for us and not that. So I only think that prices have to go up if everything is maxed out and nobody is making any wiggle room in there, but that's not the case. So you tell everybody it's going to cost $1 more or 50% more or whatever to come through this gate, then the one thing to look at is if you're against the proposition, you're going to say, oh, then nobody's going to push stuff through the gate anymore. But in reality, there are all those people that are competing to push stuff through our gate, since we're the buyer of the stuff they're selling. You know, right now they've gone whatever the what do they call the talks? I don't remember. I have no idea which talk it was, but some of the talks between international NATO probably or something said back in the old days said China's a third world country, so they only got to pay 2% on everything. That's why they have free shipping and all this shit, because they're in there as a third world country. Well, now a couple of years later, they're one of the massive movers and shakers economically on the planet, and they're running around with international treaties and shit that give them like no cost on anything. Like they're a third world country, so that's about to change, and that's going to screw up everything. It has nothing to do with our tariffs, but that's going to mess with a lot of stuff because they're running around acting like they ain't got nothing to worry about because they don't even have to pay for shipping. So shipping doesn't happen for free and stuff. So anyway, they're depending on a lot more than the lack of tariffs. So when tariffs happen, they're going to all look at each other and go, oh, well, I can sell you that at the same price because I have room in there. My competitor doesn't. So until we see the shifts in I don't know what to call that because I'm not a financial person, but I understand that they're not running at peak efficiency with no profit. And that's the only way that it would collapse is if they were maxed out using everything they got just to get stuff to here. And if we said one little feather more and it's going to collapse everything, that's how the people who wanted you to vote the other way would suggest the situation is. But it's not so fragile that one little feather is going to crumble everything in like glass. In reality, they're all going to outbid each other, and yeah, it's capitalism or whatever, and we're going to end up with fewer things maybe, but what are we even talking about? Like, we're talking about the consumer goods that we use, but in reality, the big things that are a factor are like the oil and the plastics and the raw materials and, that kind of stuff, and how much it costs to build a factory. I mean, we're about to start building chips here. Like, do you think chips are clean and easy? Like, they make chips out of like soap and bubbles. They make chips out of all kinds of solvents and stuff that we're about to start tasting some of that industrial, like after effect of industrialization. But who said the reason our numbers are down is because we kicked all of our dirty stuff out of here in the old days when we acted like, well, let's just have this done overseas, and now we're clean. Like,
what China
processing.
China was our recycling. China would buy a lot of our recycling, and they stopped buying a lot of stuff. And
well, they were building a massive dam. They built massive whole cities anticipating the growth of their population. And now we've got, what is it? What is that country in the desert that's making the huge cities? That's taking 20% of steel production in the entire world.
Dubai
Yeah, like, let's not complain about Dubai taking 20% of the world's steel, and let's act like somehow our tariffs are going to, I don't believe it. There's a lot more going on here. And no countries are so fragile that that international relations are going to collapse. That's a sky is falling political thing.
Mm-hmm.
When China started building their super cities that nobody lives in, that's why I always thought the copper prices spiked, because they were buying all the copper up to build their cities that nobody lives in. That if you see videos of the construction, God help anybody that ever lives in those buildings, because they were not. There was no quality assurance on those buildings. But that's part of communism, where it doesn't matter because the individuals don't matter in communism.
No.
You are property of the state, and
you are the state.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to be, but no, they're not. They are a resource used by the state.
This would all go a lot easier if we just considered ourselves resources for Hillary Clinton and just knew our place.
Does anyone else find it very ironic that all the people that voted against Trump, I shouldn't say all the people, but a large swath of people who voted against Trump were super worried that, he's going to become a dictator and, enact this communist regime and everything else. But they're really mad about him putting these tariffs on a country that is led by a communist regime.
I'm okay with the tariffs, the heavy tariffs on chocolate, because I feel like we have too much chocolate in this country. Oh, hey, Mr. Knives.
Oh, Mr. Knives is out there.
Yeah.
See, you can see he's
like,
crying at those statements.
I mean, I am here in Pennsylvania. We got Hershey here. Like, I'm 100% with you, G. Like,
You got
we
rivers
don't.
of chocolate there. We should dam those things up.
Mm-hmm. It's polluting our water system and everything. It's awful. We
Guns
got
and Waters
countries
is
in the
out there.
street just mainlining chocolate. It's not right.
Hopefully you're feeling better. He had a rumbly tumbly earlier.
Oh, my
Oh,
goodness.
no.
Not. That's too bad.
Mr. Bob said, vote for me. It's the last time you'll ever have to vote.
If you have more than one G, you get even more credit. But yeah, you have to have at least one.
The Saint is out there.
Also, a gun. You have to have a gun in your logo, otherwise he won't let you in here. There's a whole list of things we have to do. We won't get into how we have to dress, even though we're not even using our cameras.
Except for Foss.
Yes, you have to dress tasteful yet provocative.
In the case of a couple of us, you have to have a chicken or at least part of a chicken in your logo. So.
Ouch. It's true.
Well, it's
Hashtag pork and bacon.
there's a 2 chicken minimum.
Ouch.
Or a duck.
Oh, Mr. Bob said that was a Trump quote. The vote for me, and it's a little. Where'd that go? I just lost it. Oh, there it is. Vote for me. It's the last time you'll have to vote.
He's going to take over. He's going to become a dictator.
Guns and Water said, let's tax those circus peanuts and candy corn out of existence. I like both of those.
What about the pumpkins that are made of the same stuff?
I like the pumpkins better than the candy corn. And circus peanuts is my weakness. It is crack. I will eat them until I get sick.
Yeah.
Really?
I eat one once in a while, but not that many.
So you're the
Totally
one.
know. Totally know what I'm taking to Thunder on the Prairie.
My wife hates when I buy them because she knows that's going to happen. I can't help it. I can't stop. It's just I got to have. Once I start,
There's
But you
going to
have
be
one.
a huge bag of those in Nebraska this year.
I don't know why. I have always loved them, and I still love them.
They're
I
just
can't
sugar
stop myself.
But
Yeah,
the
you take what I'm
pumpkins are
thinking?
usually fresher.
Mhm.
Like the corns can be sitting around for 2 years for but the pumpkins usually only come out, in limited numbers. So
What?
nobody's having pumpkins in July, so they're gone. They're new again by fall.
The production for next year's Halloween candy has already started. The Halloween
believe it.
candies are always a year out because in order to make enough, they have to start making it a year ahead. Gunmetal Guy USA said candy corn is my sunflower seed replacement.
Interesting. Good guy's an awesome dude.
See, I love sunflower seeds.
They annoy me.
I like pumpkin seeds.
Like those two.
Papitas.
I liked them when my mom made them. I don't know what seasoning she used when she would roast them, but after we'd carve the pumpkins and then save all the seeds and she'd roast them, those were really good.
Oh, I forgot about that. I get them in the bag, just shelled already. Oh, peanuts and candy corn. Interesting.
Yeah, Mr. Bob said if you mix peanuts and your candy corn, it tastes just like a payday.
Yes, I've had a Snickers bar.
I'm not a fan. I don't like paydays either. I don't like peanuts and
What about that salted nut log? Ever eat one of
I've
them?
never had it.
Oh my gosh. You guys eat them?
Is that just a payday?
No, it's a tube of some kind of white goo, and then they put peanuts all around it 'cause
Oh,
it's sticky.
definitely
and
not
then they
having
put
it if it's
caramel.
described like that. Oh my god.
Oh, it's exactly what it is. It's like some kind of tube. It's like toothpaste, except it's sweet. And then they roll that in peanuts. And
Nut
then,
roll.
Nut roll. You never
Yeah.
had one of them? Oh man, they're good.
It never looked appealing to me.
I think they make them with chocolate on the outside too, but mostly I think they just drizzle caramel or something over it.
So for those who might not know what a nut roll is, this is a nut roll.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I've had that before.
And then the Chicka Stick is just a Butterfinger. Well, it's a Zag nut rolled up like that, so that it looks like that.
I mean, I've seen
think
them,
I've-
but never had an urge to try it.
Oh, they're good.
I
That inside
tried.
is not really frosting. It's somewhere between frosting and a candy corn because it's like, obviously it's made to sit in a package forever, so it's more like a candy corn than a marshmallow or anything. But it's more like frosting than a marshmallow, so it's sugary, but it's, you know what I mean? It's not like a caramel or like a marshmallow. Like there's something there. So when you
So you
eat the
get your
peanuts or whatever, it's
Sweet and salty.
Yeah, definitely. But like a 50-50 ratio, like you're getting a lot of both. I could see them being a, what do you call, like a taste though, if you don't like them. Cashews, I don't know what you mean by cashews, but of course. Do you know how cashews take slave labor? That's the problem with cashews. I like eating them.
I don't
but
like cashews. I don't like the
a
flavor.
person has touched every single cashew you've ever eaten, like at least once. There's probably like 8 people that have touched every single cashew. It's just so crazy to me. But if you watch how they make cashews, like there's nothing they can do with a machine. There's like bunches of it that you have to do by hand. So there's like, it's tough eating cashews, but I like eating them by the handful. What about macadamia nuts?
I do like those.
I like macadamia nut cookies.
Only if they're fresh.
They're incredible. Like, I don't know what Subway puts in theirs. Pretty sure it's just crack cocaine. But oh my god,
Wait, what?
Subway's white macadamia
white-
nut cookies.
White chocolate and macadamia.
I haven't had a
Mhm.
Subway cookie in a long time.
That's-
I'm pretty sure Subway just puts crack cocaine in their cookies. They're incredible.
I think they're okay. That's the only time that I'll eat white chocolate is the white chocolate and macadamia cookies.
I enjoy white chocolate most
I
of the time.
probably wouldn't
Like,
even.
there's some
I'd wait until
things
it's regular chocolate.
where companies have been like, we're going to make a white chocolate version, where I'm like, because people knowing that I like white chocolate, they will buy me things where they're like, oh, this is white chocolate, I thought you would like it. And I'm like, oh, great. Like white chocolate M&Ms, friggin' terrible. White chocolate Kit Kats are okay. White chocolate Reese's, friggin' awesome.
Ugh.
Because
With peanut
The
butter?
cookies and cream Hershey's, those are pretty good.
those weren't too bad, actually. Yeah, I could agree with you there, Gary. Because and not all white chocolate is made the same.
It's true.
Actually, there was if you haven't had a look at Kit Kats recently, like they're doing some really funky stuff. I actually got the kids these Kit Kats a year or two ago. They were on, I think, clearance. They were Fruity Pebble or something like that. Kit Kats. They were actually pretty friggin' good. I was like, what the hell?
Like the wafers are made out of Fruity Pebbles, or they just added Fruity Pebbles to the
I
chocolate?
think they just like added it into like the chocolate.
Okay.
It was actually surprisingly good. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is like son of a gun.
Well, you've
but
seen
then
like the
they've
Japanese
made, like,
Kit Kats? They
lemon-
make international
The
Kit
green
Kats
tea?
nuts.
I haven't seen the green tea ones. Like I've seen some lemon Kit Kats, a couple other ones. The lemon
Dude,
Kit
I've
Kats
seen
are
dozens
pretty
because
good
in
also.
other countries they make, like mango and all different flavors that they just play with.
Really?
There's tons of Kit Kats. Yeah, like there's stores, online stores that you can buy stuff from where you buy stuff from other countries because you know how like these companies are. They sell this to our country and that to that country, but they don't really care what happens after that. So then these places will show up and yeah, and the only reason I know is because on Instagram they'll go, "Hey, we're making an order." They bought like mango Kit Kats and they bought like upside down Twinkies or something, and then they bought like you're saying like they mix two different things together and it's some kind of chips. But yeah, like they'll have. Well, anyway, yeah, the Kit Kat's one that goes crazy with their variety. Same with Oreo. You ever seen the different kind of Oreos like in other countries?
No.
These are international companies. That's why, we think of them as like Oreo and Nabisco and shit are ours. Like, now they're not. They used to be ours. Now they're everywhere. So other countries have their own, like, I can't wait to
Well,
get
that
my
was
orange Oreo or whatever. Like, I grew up with orange Oreos.
that was a big thing where they were, once or twice a year coming out with a new flavor for Oreos. Haven't really seen
in
it
each
lately.
country, though. Like, they do, but in each country now.
Well, I mean, they were doing that here.
I know, but I'm saying, like, at the same time, they're giving us, like, hey, here's a mint Oreo or something. Or, like,
Oh,
here's
yeah,
some kind of cereal mixed in with it. In some other country, it's like, hey, you all like plantains or something? Like, here's a plantain Oreo. I'm just saying, those international companies just, they have divisions for whatever, and people in other countries don't eat anything like us, right? There's got to be bug Kit Kats, I'll bet. For countries that eat bugs, like cricket Kit Kats or something, I'll bet you that exists.
I watched Dog Soldiers the other day.
For the first time or something?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. That's an old movie. Was that like the 80s?
No, it was, when it came out. It wasn't the 80s. It wasn't that old.
80s. Yeah, it was probably 2000s maybe.
Was not that good. I was not impressed. The people I've heard talk about it.
New movies or
I'm comparing it to like Silver Bullet or The Howling. Was not that good. For what I've heard people who like it say about like Yankee and I think Matt maybe.
I like it. It's because it's got guns in it, and all other movies are usually boring. Like
this
one has stuff in it.
Just the start of the movie, they're doing a military exercise where they say they're supposed to be so far behind enemy lines. They're walking through the woods whistling and talking.
They're werewolves because they don't give a shit. That's the thing. They're cocky. You guys ever seen this movie?
Nope.
This is the part of the show where Gary and I are quiet.
It's
an old one. I thought maybe you'd seen it.
I was expecting. It's from 2002. I was expecting more from it, so I was disappointed.
Yeah, I get you. It's not. I'm not. If I think about it, it's not my favorite movie ever. It's just compared to other werewolf movies, it's got more guns and like army stuff in it. Plus, it's like Europe or whatever, so it's all metric guns.
Yeah, I did not realize that until I started watching that they're British or whatever.
Yeah, do they even have bullpups or something weird? I think it might be bullpups. But it's like that one. There's those two zombie movies. Or is there three? I think there's two. Where the guy wakes up and it's like I can't remember the names of them. Is it a week or something? And one's a month or something. But anyway,
like
there's the zombie movie where
30
he wakes
days
up.
later, 10 days later, whatever days later.
Those are in Europe, and I can handle it because it's a good enough movie that I can ignore the Europe part. But some movies they wipe too much Europe all over it. Could have had some kind of candy bar bracket with all the candy bars that were mentioned this evening. I was just thinking about that.
Maybe we'll do that next week.
With all these export tariffs or import tariffs, are you even going to be able to get bracket parts anymore?
Well, there's always a black market for the stuff I need for my bracket. Sometimes you have to search in those dark rooms.
Source stuff in Bracketistan.
Yeah.
I don't know. Last time I searched in a dark room, there was a hole in the wall, and it changed me. That's all I'm gonna say.
Things kept getting poked through.
Ended up with a lot of 20s at the end of the night.
You're making money. That's what counts.
That's right.
Hard working.
Still wasn't enough to buy me a new camera lens, damn it.
And I watched, sort of watched the Japanese movie, which I can't remember the name. I kind of lost interest in it because it was a little slow and not that good. But the main character was an assassin, and he was a well-known assassin, and he carried a revolver. And I'm trying to remember what it was. It was Combat Master. That was kind of part of the movie. Was he was still deadly accurate, but was not deadly accurate enough for him. So it was kind of his journey to find this mythical gunsmith to fix his.
What movie?
That's what I was trying to remember.
This is an
Tried to
American
look
movie
it
or a
up.
Japanese movie?
Japanese movie.
Oh,
Yeah, I was trying to see if I could find it, but I don't remember what it was. But it was just kind of interesting to see him with his revolver. I started losing interest when there was a crippled gal in a wheelchair who takes on a room full of Yakuza and kills them all by spinning her wheelchair around and shooting, and just kind of, it's a bit much.
Why the hell didn't they just push her down the stairs?
you can't handle a differently able person kicking ass.
Not in the way that she was, no.
You see Machine Gun Girl? I think that's the name of that one, where she has like a arm that's a machine gun or leg or something.
Leg. Yeah, I thought it was stupid.
Yeah, I did too.
But I don't remember what something assassin or something like that. But also watched. I just saw it on here. Hold on, everybody, while I scroll through my history. Oh, The Spirit is a Frank Miller movie. They had the same look as Sin City. It wasn't that good. It's based on a comic strip. A hero that is kind of brought back from the dead with a serum, and he regenerates quickly, but it wasn't that good. I'm guessing nobody else saw that. There's nobody saying anything about it.
No.
Saint said she got preferred parking.
I'm going through and trying to find all the ones that I watched this week. I have to watch extra movies because Giz doesn't ever watch no movies.
That's true.
Somebody's
Taking
got
up
to
his
pick up the
slack.
slack.
Yeah.
So I seen something called Monster Summer. That's got somebody in it. What's his name? I think it's Mad Max. except he's an old man. And there's some kind of monsters. It's like a kid's monster movie, but it's okay. Remember that one? Anyway, it's a movie for kids, but it's well made, so it's not just a kids movie. It's worth watching. Then Elevation, it's a new one, and it's stupid. It's about it's like the end of the world. Aliens are these monsters that are as big as an elephant, but they look kind of like mixed between a bug and something, but they're not a bug, so they just kind of look like a monster. But they're like as big as elephants and they can run around. I think they have 4 legs, so maybe they have 6 legs, but you don't see them. They run so fast and you only see them at the end when they get killed, kind of thing. But the deal is that all of a sudden these creatures happen. Nobody knows where they came from because they happen so fast, I think. And the beginning of the movie is the preliminary to it all. And the thing is that people figure out after a while that they won't go above 8,000 feet. So that's why it's called elevation, I guess. So imagine everybody has to run to the top of mountains, and then it fast forwards into the future where sometime later, like not a lifetimes later, but some amount of years later, everybody's kind of become accustomed and they kind of know where the 8,000 foot marks are on their mountains. But then they figure out they got to go from here to there, right? And it's like the adventure of going from this mountain to the other mountain and figuring out what's going on. So it's like trying to be suspenseful more than being a sci-fi movie, and it's not so much the plot as the jump scares. So I don't like that kind of movie. It was okay, but they spent a lot of money on it, but it wasn't, it's like for kids or something. And then I seen the Elvis movie. There's a new Elvis movie, Return of the King, about his 1968 comeback special. That's pretty good. It's like a positive Elvis movie. They talk about some of the negative things, but they're not trying to just shit on him or anything. It's a pretty good movie.
Oh, I think I said Combat Master. I meant Combat Magnum. It was the Model 19. The revolver that the assassin had. Oh, and also last week I think I said that Trump threatened Un. And it wasn't Un. It was when he was negotiating the Afghanistan withdrawal. That's who he threatened.
Are you talking about when he showed him his house and said, "This is your house"? That was the Afghanistan guy, the Taliban guy.
Yeah, say it wasn't a withdrawal. It was a hostage negotiation, I believe.
Yeah, it was like, how about nobody ever dies again after this, and no one died again after that.
They had some of our guys or something, and he's like, "Yeah, how about we get them?" And he slid some photos of their place over to him, like, anytime we can just done. I forgot about that until you just boiled it down, Foss. So this is why Foss is so awesome, because he had no reason to be like, by the way, I was incorrect. But Foss holds himself accountable.
Well, I got thinking about it and then realized, oh shit, that's not what that was.
And shit, was it a hostage negotiation, or was he just meeting with Taliban leaders? Either way, it was Taliban or Al Qaeda, and like he was just being total friggin' badass and just slid them the photo of their house and was like, yeah, like anytime we can just fucking get you.
So I also watched Red One. It's a new Christmas, like Santa Claus a badass type of movie, except it's got rock in it, and it's more like for kids.
I used to be a fan of The Rock, but the more I saw him talk, the less of a fan I am of The Rock.
He's okay, but he's one of them people that's the same dude every single time. They just put him in different role, but he's the same dude every time. So that gets.
I like great. His son, Kid Rock. Now he's all right.
I didn't know that was his kid. Makes sense. It lines up. It all adds up.
really does. I mean, when you see how skinny Kid Rock is, and then you look at The Rock, I mean, clearly The Rock did all the eating and didn't leave anything for Kid Rock.
If your dad was a bodybuilder, would you be a bodybuilder? You're either going to be a bodybuilder or you're never going to be a bodybuilder, right?
100%.
Plus, I feel like if all the things that you're going to follow in your parents' footsteps, like something that's completely individual like that, I think has less tendency. You know what I mean? Like if they're all about, I mean, I guess if you were really good, you figure I'm going to have the same genetics, so I might as well. If they're really good, I'll be really good. But you know what I mean? Like I can see somebody not giving a shit about following something that's
Well, it can be really tough if your dad is really good at something, because there's the expectation from other people that know him that you will be the same. That's something I went through growing up, because
like
my dad was
naturally
really
gifted.
good. Was really good. Well, he was kind of one of those guys that was good at anything that he wanted to do, but he was really good at karate. So growing up, I learned from him, and then would take classes, and everybody knew his name. So I grew up kind of in that shadow where when I would meet people, I wouldn't give them my last name, just because I would get the same reaction. Oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And so you kind of get stuck in that shadow. So I can kind of understand, kids that don't want to do what their dads do, or, well, mom or dad, but because you're sometimes get held up to that expectation.
Yeah, it's like
And
neither one of my kids want to be famous YouTube celebrities either.
You ruined it for them.
That's right.
But you leave them your legacy and fortune, so they don't really have
That's
to work
true.
or anything.
That's true.
All that Civivi money.
Yeah.
We call it Civivi gravy. I've got two over here. When can I put these out? I can't even post them because they're not even on Amazon yet.
I think
They're till tomorrow.
Tomorrow, isn't it? The 18th?
No, but tomorrow. Like it's already Sunday, so.
Oh, that's
Monday.
true. Tomorrow. Yeah.
I
You
took,
don't even know how frustrating it is. They send us 4 knives, but we can't even talk about them for like a week before we have to wait a week before we can talk about them. It's horrible for us.
Well, I mean, surely you could talk about them here. It's not like they're monitoring Foss's channel.
No, I guess we can talk about them. We just can't post. There's nothing to post videos of because there's nothing to attach them to until they put them out. I didn't realize. I mean, did you see that? Can we talk about knives for a minute?
Sure.
Did you see the Kaiser factory tour video that somebody put out, and then Kaiser put it out?
I didn't.
No.
So somebody from the United States went to Kaiser and did a factory tour. In my opinion, they were very rude because they carried a coffee around with them through the whole factory tour. And I'm like, even if they gave me the coffee, I think I would ask, can I leave this in the conference room where we obviously started this tour and I don't have to carry it around through your entire factory? That's obviously way more than ISO 9000, like super nice factory. And I'm going to walk around with a coffee cup in my hand the whole time, like a paper coffee cup. Anyway, besides that distracting part, maybe 3 people, maybe 4 if you count the cameraman, came from the United States, and they do one of those like, let's get on the plane and fly, and then get off the plane and walk around wherever country that is, and then go to the factory. And then I think maybe 3 or 4 people took them around the factory, and it is massive. Like it's a huge factory, giant rows of machines, like just tons of knives coming out of there. So just seeing the scale. And I'm wondering, Civivi's probably bigger than Kaiser, right?
Oh, I imagine.
But anyway, it's kind of neat seeing the factory. And then they have a room where they have all their knives, I guess, like their, all the models they made or something. Like a lot of factories have that, and like sample room or whatever. But in a knife factory, it's rows and rows on the wall, rows and rows of magnets, and then all the knives are just open with their blade on the magnet. So it's just, like going into a crazy knife store that only sells Kaiser, but a huge room of that. That was kind of neat. And it made me think about doing some kind of a magnetic wall or something.
You should do that.
I just don't know where. I don't have really a lot of wall space. I don't have like a house with a bunch of extra walls laying around. Oh, I could do the ceiling. That would be actually kind of neat. Put a bunch of magnets on the ceiling and just have a bunch of knives up there. I could
That's
just
what I
run
was gonna say,
bars
do it on the
across the ceiling. I could run bars across the ceiling with electromagnets, just electricity running through them to make them electromagnets with a
That
throat
sounds
like
like
an
an awful
emergency
idea.
switch. No, emergency switch. Somebody breaks in here. I make sure the dogs are with me and I kill this power and thousands of knives fall from the ceiling with their blades open.
Until like an EMP actually hits, and
You just sit there watching TV and you're like going through
Shit.
a slicer. And Civivis are like the opposite of dull. Like I wouldn't want to be anywhere near like 5 open Civivis flying at me.
yeah,
I'm sitting here with 1, 2, 4 open wounds right now from playing with knives so dang much. Just from being touched, just the tip of a blade, or like just the slightest whatever, and it's like a paper cut. 5 minutes later,
Just a
it's
tip.
weeping blood.
Occupational hazard.
I still wish that I knew what happened to that knife that I won from roll call. It was a Buck 365. It's that one that I ended up having to go get some stitches from. Just disappeared one day. No idea.
Kids, that's what happened.
It very well could be.
And it's not like they stole it. They're just like, hey, look, blah blah blah, and like now it's downstairs. Like they don't.
Well, the
even
problem
know.
is I don't have a downstairs or upstairs. It's all one level.
Wait a minute.
And
Like they're just doing something. Next thing you know, your stuff is in another room, and they didn't even.
But
know
I don't have that many rooms, and I've cleaned this entire place, top to bottom, spotless. It is gone. So the only thing I can think of is it fell out of my pocket somewhere while I was out. So whoever picked it up, I hope they are enjoying it.
I made a 450 Bushmaster dummy round. Get my
Ooh.
die set up. I went to the range, took my first reloads, hand loads. So I don't think those were reloads, but to the range, and as I told my wife, everything came out fine, which she didn't think was funny, but went well. I did have, I'm going along, pop, 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 boom, and immediately stopped, and it's like, oh shit. I knew what it was, but it's still, the first time it happened, it was an overcharge on and took the magazine out, took the round out that was in there, and however I overcharged that one round, it blew the primer out because the primer fell out of the, when I dropped the magazine and all that, I saw that primer fell out, so it blew the primer out. I couldn't find. I spent like 5 minutes looking for the casing and never found it. So I don't know where it threw it, but was interesting feeling where all of a sudden, you're going pop, 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 and then boom. And I think it was good. I was using had that in the CZ, so it's an all steel. But didn't damage anything, wasn't that bad. Which makes me nervous for doing this much powder. But on the whole, I took the 357, 40 cal, and 9 millimeters. And other than that one, all the other ones were fine. The 357, I want to bump up a little bit. They were seemed a little weak. The 40s, I think were pretty good power. They were throwing the casings pretty far. But So I would call that a success. A successful first try at reloading.
So you're going to that outdoor range you always do videos at?
Yeah.
Do people chat with each other there?
Yeah.
So then anybody chat with you about your reloading?
No, I was there by myself.
Okay.
Nobody was out there. It was kind of rainy.
Do you put a big sticker on yourself that says like keep a wide berth because you reloaded your own ammo just in case something bad happens, like blowing yourself up?
People get that.
Well,
spidey sense.
I
Just let
was,
people
I
know.
was thinking I'm probably pretty safe because I'm not loading for max. I was just like a step up from the minimum in the what's listed as the minimum in the books. Kind of just as I'm learning and getting the process down. So my goal isn't to make the most powerful rounds that I can. It's just to be able to make rounds that are sufficient.
Yes.
There's more to it. Once you start doing it, like I say, you'll figure out like what your gun's like and what the bullets, what the match is or whatever, what the ratios are.
Next thing you know, Frost is like Tim Allen going, more power. Oh.
Well, you'll do that to some extent, right? Like as you try to figure out the sweet spot, you'll be like, what if I added, a grain or two more or whatever it is? And then what if I dropped it down? You'll play around like that, I would imagine.
Eventually, but for now, still, like I said, getting the process down, getting comfortable with it. I took the APX A1 carry, the CC Compact, my 4006, and then my Taurus 65. But for the 40s, they did real well. I was happy with the accuracy. The APX is still wildly not accurate. The groups were the same as what the factory ammo. So I would maybe eventually try and tune around to see if I can get that a little more accurate. But it's basically a snub nose semi-auto. So
I
CZ
don't know what all the physics are, but like let's say it goes faster. Usually it's faster or something. Like if you can get that bullet out of the barrel faster, then maybe it doesn't have time to, I don't know, do something that makes it inaccurate. And I think that's the kind of stuff that people discover when they reload. Well, that like, oh, I can make this gun shoot better than I ever have by, like again, you'll make some loads for whatever reason. Like I want to find the best load for a 127 grain or whatever. And then you'll make the, you'll bracket. You'll like, I don't know, you don't like to bracket, but like people will, I'm going to try the 6 grains, but I'm also going to try 5 and 7. I don't know the numbers, but you know what I mean? Like there's just, we're going to try some different variety. And when you do that, you go, wow, my group's tightened up when I went in this direction. What if I taken another grain or whatever? Maybe if I move the bullet. And that's where it's a quicksand. Now you're like a reloader, and now you're going to be talking to your friends like, oh no, look, I tightened my groups by 1/4 inch by taking this to 1 grain. But if I went to 6 grain and I brought this down to 47 ounce bullet, then then I tightened my groups by 4/5. And then the groups tell L shape, and I can't figure out why. But if I bring, like, I think that's the tuning that people, because I don't think that many people reload just because they got nothing else to do and they like to move their arm. I think it's they're playing with their guns and they're. I mean, I know this from my experience, but just from listening to people, I think people are surprised like how big it, how you can tune a gun up with its bullets. Well, with all the changing everything around like that.
Yeah, and the guys that are precision rifles, they get crazy into the amount of powder, the primer, what type of primer, the bullet depth, seating it deeper, seating it farther out, making sure it's closer to the lands when you
find the sweet spot for that rifle. You take that same perfect bullet over to a new rifle, and you're starting all over. You have to change things again because that barrel's different.
Yeah.
But even without getting too crazy, like I say, once you kind of dabble in it, you can kind of play around, and that's where it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of fun. And then you'll like say you'll run out of powder. There'll be a shortage or something. A factory will have a fire or something, and you won't get that powder for 6 months. And now you're forced to play around with it because that other powder doesn't perform the same, or you can't get those bullets anymore. And now you got to try something else, and they don't perform the same. But then you'll be in trouble if you go to like you got the what do you call the influence of the Friday night show, where all of those addicts will gladly welcome you in and feed you more of the powder and primers that you need to feed that addiction as they chat about that. But if you find somebody at your range that wants to talk to you about reloading, you're hooked. You're done. Like you'll just be a reloader now because you're going to have all these addicts that just sit around talking about reloading and listen to your stories, and then you listen to theirs. And like I said, that's a whole nother part of shooting, just like going into competitive shooting, right? Or just like getting into collecting or something. Like once you like reloading and you find people that reload, like that's a whole thing.
And and Ozzy, I don't know if I should curse Ozzy, but I kind of want the Taurus 44 Magnum that he just bought. I caught myself looking at him and thinking, well, yeah, because I've got a single action 44, but I don't have a double action 44. I should get one. So I'm really thinking about getting one.
Yes, you should.
What about a 44 lever action?
Well, that's more monies. So I would have to wait longer. I can't get that gratification now. And I think I might get a sword because they've got some of the scratch and dent ones for $100.
What?
Yeah.
I can't buy more stuff that's not Amazon. What kind of sword? Which one? Why are we looking at it?
Hang on. I got to remember what.
I put those things up finally, so I'm not fiddling with them anymore. But those things, I'm more and more impressed with them. Like they're legit. But I don't know what I would do with a full-size sword. I would be spending money on straw mats for sure, and I'd go out and slice some straw mats up for sure.
See if I can find what I was looking at, because it was swords on sale. Oh, here, I guess I'll present the screen. What I'm looking at, this is Ronin Katana.
And they have a close.
But 150, because I've always wanted one with a Hamon, the clay tempering marks, the real clay temperings, and these are supposed to have real clay temperings for $150. So you can see that line on the blade.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably get a black one if I get one, just because it'll go more with the Tonto that I have. But
I'm not sold on the blue necessarily, but it's better than some colors.
But they've got other colors. That was just the black one.
Part of the problem is there's so many options with that place that if I was gonna spend $100 even, I'd wanna, unless it was only 2 options, I'd probably be sitting there for like an hour going through all the different, the hilt and the wrap and all that, because they're all different. You guys have any interest in swords?
I want a Claymore.
Isn't it irresponsible for someone with children not to have swords laying around? I mean, I feel like I would have grown up differently if I didn't have a bunch of swords to run around with.
I feel like if you have children, you should totally have extra swords for them to run around with.
Right, exactly. I mean,
how else will they learn not to lose limbs and extra phalanges and stuff?
You're not afraid of nothing when you're a little kid with a sword going out into the woods. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
When my friend Kevin, when he had their first kid, I gave him a Roman, the short sword, as a gift for his kid to play around with.
That'd be good as a
Uh,
kid because it would feel like a full sword. And then when you're an adult, you still got your short sword.
I was going to get him a claymore. I went and looked at claymores, but I thought because he was a history major,
Oh, okay.
but ended up going with the Roman one because he liked that period a little more.
I like the those swords better than swords from Europe because Europe ones were for like fighting armor, so they're huge and like they're useless for anything except fighting armor, in my opinion.
I
Like
just
those
want to claim
Tontos,
more.
those little ones that I got, like those are, I mean, they're formidable. Like I wouldn't want to be around anybody who was mad with one of them.
Yeah, mine's not super sharp, but sharp enough.
Well, you can make it sharp too. Like you can make it
Yeah.
super sharp. But I'm just saying, like a regular size sword, like a Europe sword, you got to have room, right? Like you're not scared to anybody with a sword. You just run up on them and push them over, and they ain't gonna do shit about it. I guess one of them fencing swords might be a little bit more quick.
Which kind, the épée or a foil or?
I don't know. I was thinking like a French one, but I still wouldn't be as scared of somebody with a French fencing sword, probably. Although it would kill you, I think.
Well, isn't
Oh,
Do you
that
like?
how?
Do you like?
Nazi officers in World War II would give themselves dueling scars? Was with fencing swords?
like scrape each other with them?
Yeah, and then they'd rub dirt in it so they would scar.
Dirt and horsehair.
It seems like a weird
Yeah.
Nazi thing to do.
Oh, like you should look it up sometime. Like it was it was a what the heck is the word I'm looking for? It was a anyways, it was the very big thing to do. It was a fuck. It's eluding me what the hell I want to say, but
It was trending.
it was like a social status type deal for them.
No, I never even heard of that.
Yeah, check it out.
Or maybe if I did, I totally forgot about it or whatever. But
You'll find Nazi officer after Nazi officer in photos with these. Even like Werner von Braun, the founder of our space program, had it.
and it was supposed to be like that was proof that they were in a duel, or like in a battle.
But just that they're like a badass type deal.
Okay.
They would have these fencing duels, and they would get cut in the face, from what I understand, on purpose. And then they, like Boss said, they'd pack it with dirt, and a lot of times they'd also pack it with like horsehair and stuff to exacerbate the scarring.
Okay. Well, that makes sense because that's why there's probably a bunch of comics with big scars on the face from the old days. Like, there's a whole bunch of villains and stuff with scars on their faces.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant like on the body, but when you said the face, that makes more sense that like
Yep.
it would be like that badge of courage or some shit.
Be near the mouth, going up the cheek.
Oh yeah, that's definitely. I can think of a whole bunch of villains that have that. So that's probably coming from that source. Then. Well, unless it goes back earlier than that.
Oh, and the samurai swords we're looking at, the katanas, supposed to be real ray skin on those.
Oh, they say that?
Yep.
That's two things I want. I want claymore that looks like the claymore in Braveheart, and I want a set of katanas that look like Leonardo's katanas and Ninja Turtles.
That's tougher. That's different. You mean like all that look improvised and used, like that are battle scarred?
I
type of
mean,
thing?
just as far as like the grips and everything go, the wraps on them and stuff. Like as far as the blades and stuff go, I'm not worried about that portion of it, looking used and whatnot. But as far as the wraps and whatnot, I would prefer those to be more movie accurate.
I haven't actually seen anything like that, but I haven't looked at swords or anything except for when you told us about the dents, the scratch and dent stuff. But yeah, you would think somebody would make them. At least it's an opportunity to do something different
Like,
with a sword.
the biggest issue I find, especially with like the claymore, is the pommel is never right. No, I have found a couple that are supposed to be like movie replicas, but the price of them, I'm just like, I can't justify that.
They might not be able to do, if they're not licensed, they might not be
It's-
able to do exact
it's-
replicas.
Yeah. Well,
That's
and like I
definitely
realize that, and like close enough replicas I'd be fine with. But most of them, it's like, oh, this is just nowhere close. Like it's a claymore, but it's just nowhere close.
I mean, a real claymore, you'd have to like, it's as big as a door, right? Like you'd have to like lean it up against the wall.
Yeah, they're like 5 foot long.
Yeah. The only thing closest to that I ever bought was there's this market that always has Tai Chi weapons on the wall, and they had a really long, like a staff with a massive blade on the end. And I was like, I need to own that, but I never bought it. But it was like, whatever, probably 8 feet long.
Did it have the big blade?
The biggest one I'd ever seen, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was like I don't know how to describe it, but at least it looked cool. It was like a good proportion. I was like, I've never needed one of those before, but I feel like I need that now. And it was like $30 or something. It wasn't like all that expensive, but I never did buy it.
Actually, I lie. I would like a set of size that would be movie replica of Raphael's, and then, I mean, this is, which I realize those technically, would those be considered swords, Foss?
Which one?
The size.
I wouldn't.
Size are
consider
different.
that.
Size are
Yeah, I
cool.
didn't think so. Let's say, but essentially all the Ninja Turtle weapons, I would just like movie quality replicas of. I think that'd be pretty sweet. Even Splinter's cane.
Because
Yeah, I also would like a Tai Chi sword. And
and I was just looking them up. They got rings on them. That's the other reason I wanted them so bad. They had rings on the back.
So what is a Tai
There's-
Chi sword?
They're the
There's-
ornate ones with the big ribbon coming off the handle, and they got rings on them.
there was somebody that made one with a jade handle, but it was more than I wanted to spend.
Do you got a picture of it?
I think it was like $350. Hey, give me a second here, because I think I saw it on Blade HQ. It'll
Didn't the
take maybe-
Sai? I thought the Sai originated as a farm tool, but it's not saying that on the internet. I only have one set of Sais, but that's only because I've never come across them ever. Because I dig Sais a lot. I would not mind having a bunch of them.
I've got
I have
a
a-
set of practice
Right.
ones.
I might have practiced ones when I was a kid, and then I bought a real set. I tried throwing them all the time, so mine are all bent up. I could never throw them good because they're just too heavy. But mine are also super big, really. I don't like them that much. I got them. They're like a cheap set from Asian World Martial Arts or something back in the day. And I really want a smaller set that are like actually made for fighting. And now I'm looking at the Wikipedia because I thought they came from a tool. But looking at like old real ones, mine suck. I want real ones.
Yeah, the practice ones I got, I think, were actually from Blade HQ. They were like $20. I was like, and when I got them, I was like,
I paid
these are
$20.
freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Like I mean, for what I would describe a nice leather wrapped grip and everything, and good weight, metal, all that good stuff. I was like, these are pretty sweet.
This is similar, but this is not exactly the one that I was talking about.
Okay.
And then sometimes they'll have like a tassel hanging off the back.
You're
Gotcha.
supposed to make a ribbon or something hanging off of it.
So I think it was Cold Steel, but I think they're discontinued.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking butterfly swords. Don't are butterfly swords the ones that are wider and have a big ribbon coming off the back?
Where
too?
there's a pair.
Well, there's usually a pair. but I was
Usually
also-
you there's two of them.
You see my screen
I used
share?
to, I used
This
to
is what I
have
was
a set. Yeah,
This
they got
is the
sold.
halberd thing I was thinking of. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
if it's called halberd in Tai Chi, but they'll have rings back here and then some kind of tassel. I think the tassel's for catching arms and stuff too. Like there's a reason for that. And then the halberds are on the end of a stick like this. This isn't quite what they had at the store. The one at the store had a little bit like cooler looking end for me. But the swords that I'm thinking of are more like this. Like they're wide and they're all goofy looking. And then they have a tassel or two that are ornate. They got rings coming off the back here for catching stuff. But then they'll have a big tassel off the end of the handle. But when I searched for Tai Chi swords, I'm only finding those two. So maybe I'm thinking of something else. Maybe they just called them Tai Chi when I was a kid. Because these are literally all coming up with this style. It turns out
that's the style I was thinking of.
I don't own one of these, but I have like a little toy one that looks just like one of these. And I kind of want one. And I've never bought one of these. I've had the opportunity to buy these wooden versions a million times, and I never did because I thought they looked dumb. But I probably should have bought one at some point. This is more like what I'm thinking, but this isn't as ornate as the ones. Were these still Tai Chi?
I think
Even,
those are
I've seen them.
maybe like more wushu.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say I've seen
How
those
I
with
would
even more flair on them, like that halberd had, like a lot of extra ornament, whatever, ornamental stuff happening. Yeah, but it's this is what I was thinking right here. This. The only kind of one picture of it. Is this something different? But this is what I was thinking of. Aren't these Tai Chi swords?
Again, I wouldn't. To me, I don't think of those as Tai Chi. But I'm not a kung fu aficionado.
These are almost
another sword I want. Another sword that I want would be the sword that Robin Williams has in Hook with the coconut handguard. That'd be pretty sweet.
I've never seen that movie. I have to look it up.
It's where he's Peter Pan, but he left Neverland and grew up, and then Hook kidnaps his kids, and he has to go back to Neverland and get his kids back. But he has to remember to be Peter Pan and shit.
But the sword is made out of wood then.
No, it's made out of metal.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because they actually killed pirates in Neverland. Which actually in the movie, they kill one of the Lost Boys, Rufio.
Rufio.
Yes. Dustin Hoffman was Hook.
This is the sword that he's talking about.
Like, I don't know what made this pop into my head, but
And I think it's Glenn Close is in it too.
I'm not sure who that one is.
She's has
Oh,
so
is
much.
that
She's
his wife?
she is made up as a pirate and looks like a guy, so you can't tell it's Glenn Close.
Okay. I think I know the pirate that you're talking about.
So I think she's Mr. Smead in the movie.
No, Mr. Smee was a guy.
Oh no, that was
Who was that?
because she's I think she's the one that gets put in. Who gets put in the trunk?
You seen this movie,
Um,
Gizzard?
In the what they call it, the trunk, the boom
Yeah,
box.
I
think.
have. It's been a long time, but I have seen it.
I don't remember. Was that her?
I don't watch Robin Williams movies, so I probably never seen it. I'm almost
I
positive.
bet you I've seen practically every one of his movies.
I don't remember exactly.
Did she play the pitcher when
Well,
Jack's batting?
here's a picture of her in makeup.
I know we want a pitcher and not a belly itcher.
Oh, she is not the pitcher she's not the pirate that I was thinking of. There was another pirate that I was thinking of.
Basically, you wouldn't know it was her unless you knew it was her.
What was the deal there? Like, there's just a bunch of friends that wanted to be in each other's movies, or she was like integral to that role or something, or what was the deal? Or do you know?
I don't know. I'm guessing that's what it was. Just
she knew somebody and she wanted to be in the movie.
that, or somebody knew her and said, "Hey, do you want to be in the movie?"
And did that part say anything, or was she just standing there?
I was thinking she was the one. She gets put in a trunk for punishment in the boo box, but I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen the movie.
She might, but I thought the person that got put in the boo box dies from all the scorpions they throw in there.
This was a cartoon first, or was this like some kind of play or something first? Peter Pan.
It was a book.
Pan is yeah.
And then Disney made it a movie or cartoon.
Well, there was a stage play, and I don't know if the stage play or the Disney came first, but
okay.
It's been around a long time. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's the one that gets put in the box.
I'm thinking it's a good possibility.
David Crosby's in it too, as a pirate from Crosby, Stills and Nash.
So it sounds like one of those kind of movies where they're like, let's bring all these different people in and type of thing. Like they're all friends or something. There's a name for that when they bring people in.
It's an ensemble cast, basically.
No, isn't there another name for somebody who's like just kind of in a movie?
A cameo.
Cameo.
Cameo. Yeah, that sounds good.
But I thought a cameo is where you're kind of like in something as yourself.
Oh, that might be.
Typically, yeah.
I think you're right.
Don't you hate it when he's right?
No, not not barbecue.
It's a son of a bitch. I hate when I'm right. It's a blessing and a curse.
Oh, well.
Hey, we went down this rabbit hole of Hook about from Swords.
From Swords, yeah.
He was buying swords all the time.
That's what knives will do to you. See? It opens up your mind to all kinds of possibilities. It all starts with a sharp edge.
So, Mr. Barbecue, is there anything you want to plug? Anything you got coming up?
Been on a dry spell for the photography stuff. Wrestling season has started, and just haven't been able to get anywhere to photograph anything. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot in my backyard to photograph while I'm out in the middle of nowhere. There's not a whole lot happening in it, so yeah, and you can only take so many photos of the moon. It's just kind of like, okay, it's the moon. So but I do know I should be hopefully snagging some photos of wrestling meet this weekend coming. So we'll be
What
getting
kind of meat
some
you're wrestling?
this would be junior high
Oh,
and varsity girls. So I guess that would be tacos versus tacos. But so they'll be wrestling. I'll just be sitting there photographing the team and hoping that they all do well, because literally their season started yesterday. Because PIAA sets the rules for when the season can start for junior high, JV, varsity, all that. And November 15th was the magical start date. So the entire state was able to start yesterday, and then they have their first scrimmage on the 23rd. So there's a lot of girls on the team that have never wrestled before, and this will be their first season. So they're going to have a week's worth of practice and, be thrown to the wolves. So I'm hoping those girls that have to experience that don't get discouraged and, stick with it. And the girls who are experienced, and this team has a lot of really, really great female wrestlers on it. One state champion, probably half a dozen other state place winners, including my daughter. So it's a stacked wrestling room. So they should all do very well, and hopefully they'll be very encouraging to those inexperienced girls this weekend, and be like, hey, don't worry about it. It's your first week. It's a long season. 5 months to be exact. So, but yeah, so that's what will be coming up for me. Thanks for the invite.
Well, I appreciate you being here. G Webs, anything you want to plug? Anything you got coming up?
Yeah, if you can screen share, I've got this throwback to the original show when you guys first started the show. Just remember back in the day, and then the last show, right before it ended. Thanks for the memories.
Oh, no problem. Anything else you want to plug?
No, thanks for the invite.
How
I'll
about
plug
you, Gary?
Gizzard's show on Friday. Gizzard does a show on Friday.
Anything you want to plug, Gary?
Well, I got a makeup show to do because I didn't do my show on Friday.
You're doing shows on makeup now, like lipstick and eye.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, why not? It's safe. YouTube doesn't ban that, as far as I know. So, much less hassle. But yeah, we took the night off because some people decided they would rather watch a fake fight than.
I did not watch the fight. I watched a couple of clips from it, and Tyson's legs are gone. He, from what the little bit that I saw, he was not moving like the old Tyson. Well, he was moving like old Tyson, not like not like the old Tyson. I think that was the biggest reason that he lost, was he couldn't move like he used to.
Yeah. But, yeah, we did that, so I've got to make that show up sometime. And, of course, we'll definitely have the members chat on Wednesday. And have to figure out when I can fit this makeup show in. Not sure what day of the week we're going to do it, but stay tuned on my community tab. I'm sure we'll make some announcements.
You should just do it tomorrow, Sunday, at like 5:30.
5:30
Yeah.
in the morning?
No. Yeah, in the afternoon.
I could do it as an early bird chat, but nah. 5:30 in the afternoon, that's football time, man. I think the Chiefs game.
Well, that's Rich's time.
Oh, 5:30 your time. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So 7:30 normal people time is what you're telling me. Okay. Yeah, I should do that. Or I could do it, closer time, at like 9 or 9:30 on Sunday. But we'll see. I doubt it'll happen tomorrow, but we'll see. Anyway, yeah. I'll let you know when I'm going to do a show, and we'll have everybody there. So thanks for having me. Congratulations on episode number 2, by the way.
Well, thank you. I can't say it was an effort, because I basically just showed up. You guys showed up, and here we are.
It's an effort to stay awake.
Yeah. So I once again, congratulations to Chris Lang. I just sent you an email, Chris. So if you get an email from untacticalfoss@gmail.com, that's me. And I put in the subject line, "Hey, Chris, this is Foss." So send me your address, and I'll ship out your. I I hate to say fabulous prizes because I don't want to overpromise, but I will ship out your prizes.
Fabulous.
And so thank you to everybody that was in the side chat, chatting it up. If you were watching, didn't say anything, don't be afraid to say hi. Let me know that you're out there. And if you watch this in a replay, leave a comment. Whatever we talked about, agree with, disagree with, you know, your opinions on Trump and what he might do, might not do. What's your favorite sword? Anything like that. If you have suggestions for future topics, I'm always happy to take those. And so next chat will be next Saturday. Once again, we're not doing Wednesdays anymore. Just Saturdays now, every Saturday. Other than that, I hope everybody has a good rest of the night and go do something good.